Oh, there they are. Yay.
Please, can't you get back farther? Can't they?
So you neatened up for us, there, Greg? You neatened up for us? Got all like dressed up?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, and I took the frames in there.
You got them?
Yeah.
So we just need to sign this.
My best hippie
So we
days,
just sign it?
my hair wasn't that long. My hair was this long. My best hippie days.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like
Did you-
freshman,
did you
junior, no.
read them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they haven't read them since they were finalized. You read them. Make sure I'm from the street. Just in case.
I was 10, kind of quick cut.
Those are names spelled.
Oh, he did the whole
Yeah,
thing.
only one
What?
thing is I
Like, who got
probably
the
should
bottom
say
of them?
member.
When we were kids, yeah, absolutely. And it was easy for my dad to do the haircuts.
Yeah.
I think so.
Just, that's, you do Charlie's that way? Wow.
Not that way though.
Yes.
You think so?
With a razor, yes.
Oh, okay.
No, with a razor, you mean with one of those barber things. Because my dad had all kinds of lengths he could do based on the little clip. thing.
You have a purpose?
So yeah, she used a clip, not a razor blade.
Yeah.
That's what I have seen.
I mean, my mother had,
That's what I
it was actually a razor.
Joel, you've got it. The recording is paused.
Yes, because we didn't start.
Okay.
Yet. We're about to.
Okay.
Gabbing and start, I suppose, right? Are we ready? Yeah. Having fun talking about old times.
Yeah.
Do you want me to unpause it?
I got it.
Thank you.
Okay. For everyone here and for those in Zoom land, welcome to the second regular meeting of the Danby Town Board for the month of August in 2024. And I'll call the meeting to order. There are several additions and a deletion or two to the agenda. Not everybody, unless you looked at the agenda in the last hour, saw all the additions. There's a second addition, which is the agreement to spend highway funds. And then there's a clean energy community grant and uses.
Joel, if you could just speak up a bit.
Okay.
Move your mouth.
You can put your, that way just a little bit.
I'm a little bit closer. I'm not.
That's what it is.
You
So
also,
feel free to mention that in the event that I trail off.
Very good.
There are a couple things that are to be deleted, are there not? We have, well, we're not doing the CAC candidate interviews. One of them is sick and the other one is
Right.
pressed, and so we're going to defer to the next meeting.
An item disposition policy, there is a draft, but it's not,
Ready for
it's
prime
not
time?
totally, yeah. So Laura and I are gonna do that for the 9th.
Okay, let's see, where's that? Yes.
okay. Are you the one who's gonna let me into the meeting?
Oh, I can let you in. Or... Here you go.
Thanks.
I got you.
Got it.
We both got it.
The candidate interviews may not be happening, but it'd be nice to have 5 minutes to talk, just to look at questions to ask
Oh, yeah, that would be
on the
good.
9th.
Okay, so
So,
maybe we'll
I mean, I don't-
lead it all together. Anything else that needs to be deleted? I don't know about the mid-year budget review, because we haven't gotten anything.
She's working on it. I know she,
know.
I overheard her talking
Yeah.
2 minutes ago.
She's
Oh,
not,
no.
She's having
not
trouble with
here
the
yet.
computer.
Why don't we just ask her when we get to it? We can always
Yeah.
include it if we need to. So the two items to be added,
What's
Chris
that?
Garsky's here, along with Jim. We might not want to wait until late in the evening to take advantage of their presence. We could put it under,
Oh,
Reports. because that's kind of what it is. Okay. what I just said was the Clean Energy Community Grant and its uses is going to be dealt with under reports. And,
Say that louder so Jim can hear you.
yeah. We're gonna deal with you under reports, which is fairly high on the agenda. Right? Yeah,
Deal with you.
there was something else. Oh, did you have a planner's report, Greg?
I do, I didn't see that was on the agenda.
No, because we never got it. We still, the template was from the first meeting instead of.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, let me just go. I'll be right back.
But that would be an addition. Under reports. Anything else? So the other one, then the agreement to spend highway funds could be added at the end.
Yep.
Forget it. All right. Privilege of the floor. Is there anyone who'd like to address the assembly? Oh, there's a hand from Ted Crane. Go ahead, Ted.
Hi, thank you. A couple items. I just keep an eye on my list here. First, would it be possible to pivot the camera so that we can see the person who is attached to that pair of arms on screen right? Or perhaps, if Joel doesn't mind, that person could just move around and sit in the empty chair, and that would be ideal for everyone involved. Second, the minutes of August 5th, not August 4th, as I see in the agenda. My comments regarding the WDCA omitted my question as to whether an active participant in the WDCA should recuse themselves from the discussion. And of course, as the meeting progressed, Joel, you both acted as a representative of WDCA and a member of the board. And there was a third thing in the minutes that I wanted to address, but let me just move forward to something else. I know that several of you board members attend planning board meetings. And so I assume that you, like me, have read the planner's notes or planner's statement about tomorrow's meeting. In particular, in one place, one of the planner's notes talks about cluster subdivisions, which I think in terms of actual use might better be called scatter subdivisions. The note there says that the proposed application, meets the letter of the law, but certainly not its spirit. And I think that should be cause for the board to think about basically looking at the language of the subdivision regulations with regard to clusters, which currently require merely nothing more than a 5-acre lot, and then a cluster can be applied regardless of what you're actually doing. The intent was not to be parceling off a few acres at a time. The intent was to have a plan. And I wonder if the inclusion of some additional conditions beyond a simple 5-acre minimum, such as a plan, and perhaps a minimum number of lots that would be in that the original lot was being broken into, would be wise. I think that would be basically a good thing. And finally, I noticed in the minutes, Pat Woodworth responded to my comments, so I have a further question. She stated that an organization that receives money from the town by nature should be covered in the town board news. I wonder if she would care to address the question of, well, then why are you covering organizations which are not receiving money from the town? first? And second, why are you not including information about all the organizations that receive money from the town? What I'm getting at here is that I think that that all organizations should be treated equally. And as the town board news was intended originally to talk about town business, the inclusion of, shall we say, community business is well beyond the original scope. How's that? Thank you very much.
I remember being constrained by that limitation, but anyway, Rhonda.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Ted, for bringing those things up. I always appreciate your comments. And I too was concerned about the whole business of clusters. I did read, because I plan to be at the meeting tomorrow night, as Greg knows. And I was concerned about that whole business of clusters. And I think we need to resolve that problem rather than sort of trying to make it work as it is. I think that we do need to work on that. I'm not sure that parceling off 5 acres from a large parcel like Ray has is really fits into the whole business of clusters. And I do agree with Ted on his business of people or organizations that are not truly, you know this, you already know this because I've complained in the past, but these organizations that are getting money from the town that are not legitimate nonprofits, at least by my standards. And if they start to get some time on the town's newsletter, what news is left? You know, you're putting almost everything into the town's newsletter because in some way or other, most of those organizations are receiving money somehow, some way from the town. And I just wanted to remind the town that I am planning to ask for the statistics on attendance at Jennings Pond, even if I have to do it through a Freedom of Information request. So I would like the town to remind the individuals running the whole affair to be keeping statistics, because I do want to know how many people are coming and where they're coming from. That's all I have to say. Thank you. And thank you, Ted.
I suggest, Rhonda, that if you want those statistics, you ought to contact Mary Ann and ask her to compile them.
Well, I actually contacted Laura a long time ago, like last year, and asked for them, and she said there were none.
Laura doesn't have any input in that. She's not, but provides no oversight, is not connected with the prom program except when financial, administering payroll.
Okay,
Mary
so
Ann,
how would I get in touch with Mary Ann?
give me a call and I'll give you a phone number.
Okay, I'll send you an email. Thank you.
Email. You go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah, I saw another hand. I'm not going back to you, Ted. Okay, moving on. Any correspondence, Mariah?
No.
Announcements, anybody? West Danby picnic is this Saturday.
What time?
If it starts at 4:30. We hope the weather be good. But rain or not, it happened.
No, I know.
And since it's fun. The highlight of the produce season. Reports. Is Keith here?
Yes. It's right there.
Oh, yes, Keith. This is kind of, maybe in conjunction with telling us what's going on with highway, you can speak to the request that you've made for the next phase of the agreement to spend highway funds?
Yeah, yep, we're looking to spend out 174,000 for out of our CHIPS fund for the paving of West Jersey Hill Road. We're using, it's a little bit more expensive this time around for a mile of paving. This is a turnkey paving job, which includes all the materials that there is to pave. There'll be some sealing process before we go into winter. What it is we're using something different than what we've used in the past. We're using a hot mix, which is this adheres to the hills a lot much better. A lot of times when you put cold mix on a hill, when you're rolling it out, you can get these little cracks in them, and eventually your pavement can give out. So we're looking to do hot mix binder on it, which is something that they usually bring it in turnkey, because you're bringing the pavement in hot it has to come in relatively quick from another plant. And so it's a little more expensive to do, but for the longevity of the road, I think it's the best thing to do. That road's been suffering for many years, and I think it would be wise to do that because of the grade of the hill.
Wonder why you're going to use contracting it out instead of doing it in-house. That speaks to it.
Yep. Another really good thing to keep in mind is we have already hauled all of our material in for this job. So actually all of our material on the ground now is actually really good, that we're ahead for next year with all the material that we have. We really have enough material to do all of our next year's paving as well already on the ground, and it's already paid for. So we're being that this is turnkey, that would be a big positive thing for next year to have paid for material on the ground already. So our budgets are doing really well, and so I think we're ready to do that hill and get it done. And it's been a long journey to get that one done. So
Certainly a need too.
yeah. So
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome.
I'm just gonna say, great way to beat
Sorry.
inflation.
Right,
Buy ahead of time.
Laura,
You have that, you probably don't have a paper copy in front of you, that agreement to spend town highway funds.
actually we do, because someone's printed it out.
Oh, wonderful. If you agree and you guys vote to do this, if you could just pass that around and everybody sign it, and we'll put it in my mailbox.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes, Greg, you want to? Sure. We're going to deal with you anyway, but.
Sure. So just give some updates. Here's tomorrow, we have a planning board meeting. There's 4 cases on the agenda. They're all subdivision cases. 3 of them have hearings. So there's one, so I'll just go down the list. So 164 Yaple Road, it's a 1 lot to a 2 lot subdivision. That's in the low density residential, so it's a smaller lot. 405 Troy Road, another minor subdivision. This one is also being there's a conservation easement being worked on by the property owner in the CAC. 190 Hill Road, actually it's a range of addresses. It's 142 to 212 Hill Road. It's a large 190 acre property owned by the Thurnheers, and that's going through a 1 lot to a 3 lot subdivision proposal, where the smallest lot will be 30 some acres. It's a large piece of land, so they're just dividing it among siblings. And then so those 3 that I just mentioned have hearings tomorrow for certain approvals on them. And then the last one is 100 Van de Bogart Road, Ray Van de Bogart for minor subdivision, and that's the one that Ted and Rhonda were referencing.
The cluster, unquote.
Right, right. So that's going for the first review tomorrow. Essentially, he has it's the property that has the grass-fed beef operation, and he's found a buyer who wants to continue to operate grass-fed beef.
Oh, wow.
There, so he wants to just subdivide off the home there so that they don't have, they're just completely a farming, owner. What I'd also like to,
Did he think of using cluster, or was that something he suggested as a way to affect what he wanted to do?
My guess is that Mariah did not hear that at all.
Oh.
I could hardly hear you.
Yeah,
I don't know what you said.
I asked Greg whether or not it was Ray's suggestion to use the cluster subdivision provision, or whether Greg had suggested it to him as a way of accomplishing what he wanted to do.
I don't think it was that, I don't think it was, he came to me with, if there was, he asked what's the minimum lot size?
Mhm.
That's where we started.
10 acres.
Right.
Yep.
Right,
Unless. You cluster.
right. So, there has been precedent for this. It does seem a little odd, and it might be something, the subdivision ordinance does need work, and the last few planners have said that, and I would like to work on it and amend it and get it cleaned up. And so it might be worth looking at this, because it is kind of odd to not create more criteria for cluster subdivisions. I certainly could run it by Guy and see what he thinks, because if it's as simple as, no, this really, even though it meets the letter, if it really is not intended for this, and there's some reason to tell Ray, you really can't do this without some sort of variance, or you just have to keep it at 10-acre lot minimums. I think that's enough to say that.
I doubt it, because we've done it before.
Yeah, so the planning board's done it before. So
Right.
most recent was on Nelson Road
Nelson Road.
last year. Now what you
But
can
whether
do.
we want to, whether a cluster should be used for basically a 2-lot subdivision is another
Right.
question.
Right.
Now, the benefit though, in doing a cluster subdivision, even when it's just 2 lots, when there's a small lot and a larger lot, is that you can condition the larger lot, whereas
Right.
the planning board doesn't really can do that
Do it
for
10 acres at a
a
time.
minor, for a typical minor subdivision. With a cluster subdivision, they're empowered much more to work out a little bit more of a deal,
Yeah.
and to add things such as vegetative buffers, and that's what
Mhm.
happened on Nelson Road. They can require much more than they would have been able to with a typical 2-lot subdivision. So that's a benefit of this, using a cluster subdivision for a 2-lot subdivision, is that the planning board just has a little bit more teeth into it and can kind of work it. And so I've suggested to the planning board in my memo that they do cap the number of future subdivisions to a certain amount.
You'd have to do it anyway, because if you're doing an extra
Yeah.
small lot, the residue, you would potentially end up with more lots than you're entitled to, doing it with 10-acre density.
Right, right.
Maybe it's not a good idea to do it right in the middle of something that's already been presented, but maybe to talk about how we, how we really want to look at these.
Yeah, right.
It's
No,
come up a lot.
Yeah,
So,
come on.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting we, try to intervene to prevent what's in
Yeah.
process. But it does raise the question of whether this is the way we really want it to be. From you.
We have other things that we're hoping to be able to do, maybe planning wise, so.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
So then on that, what I also want to bring up tomorrow at the planning board meeting, and this is something I'll just, get the town board's input on, is the comprehensive plan update. So I would like to start the conversation off with the planning board tomorrow, providing them with copies of the comprehensive plan, and starting it with read over this, start looking at what has been done and what has where do the goals stand in this? I would like to have a more formalized process, and I can present something to the town board next time. I think of, working on the comprehensive plan will take a very concerted effort from not just me and the town board and planning board, but from the whole town, and making things very transparent and public, and so I'd like to receive or work with the town board and get some direction about how to go about that, as we start to think about a committee. But at least I want to start the conversation off with the planning board, as they are the keepers of the comprehensive plan, and just have them do a little homework, go through the comprehensive plan and just identify things that have been done and things that still, are outstanding. Do they matter anymore? Ask them, give them a few guiding kind of
What's missing?
questions. Right. And then maybe come back to the town board next month with a little bit more of a structure of what I think that maybe how we should start this project. And then just get some guidance too from the town board about how to move forward with committee appointments and everything. And maybe it's thinking about that in the new year, that starting a few months before the end of the new year.
Yeah.
To kind of work up towards that.
Sounds great.
Okay. Okay. Next week, we have a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. We have one area variance hearing for that. That's for 2687 Danby Road. That's the corner of Heisey and Danby Road, that dilapidated structure, that house was built in 1977 and it's been abandoned for about 5 years. It's a very small lot, 0.33 acres. So to build, there's 50-foot setbacks, meaning that there's basically the size of this table that you could build. So
But it is a lot of record,
what's that?
but it is a lot of record, so you should be able to build.
Yeah, but you would need variances for setbacks.
Yeah.
So,
So that's what before the BZA.
right, so he's requested to build another house. It's a local, somebody local in the area. They have a Cornell address. I think they're very local. But they are also talking with the health department about septic, because I think they have to hire an outside engineer to design their septic, because it's a smaller lot than 1 acre. So pretty much
There's no septic on it?
there is, but I think it's so far gone that it's not, he wants
Right.
a new one. So the health department has basically said, you can't have a septic here, but if you can hire an outside engineer and they can make it work, great. But they have to pay quite a lot of money. So,
Surprised they don't design it for.
well, they typically do, but when it's a lot this small, I think the health department just said, no, we don't want to deal with that.
There are ways.
Yeah.
There are ways, for sure.
But so the proposal just to have their house there. So it's a pretty modest house. It's a small lot.
Yeah. It's, I think, nice that somebody's willing to take down what's there and put something else decent up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So, a couple other things, just generally, so there was a lot of things on planning board agenda for the last couple of months. So a lot of my time is spent towards organizing those and working with the applicants. Just generally meeting with property owners to discuss intentions for their property or concerns. I've been meeting with some people about concerning neighbors and that sort of thing. I'm happy to provide more information about specifics, but just meeting with people out on their property. It's good to just get around town too and just talk with people about just what they want to do, or if they have concerns about what other people are doing.
Yes.
Meeting bi-weekly with the CAC and Adam Cartman, the property owner of 405 Troy Road, to work on the conservation easement, as I said. So we're meeting tomorrow, right? And then the last thing on my updates is I'm working with some planners in the area. We're putting on a conference in downtown
Wednesday.
Ithaca. What's that?
That's tomorrow, Wednesday.
Right, it's Wednesday. And this conference is an annual conference. It's hosted all around the state every year. This year, we were planning it for Ithaca. And so I've been spending a couple hours every other week, just sort of organizing this. The registration is open, and what I'd like to do is by the September 9th town board meeting is come to the town board with a request for funds. I talked with Laura about how much might be left in my budget line, and seeing how many registrations I could hold. I don't know how common it was maybe for past planners to send planning board members. I certainly would like to go. I would like to send some planning board members if town board members are interested, as well as BZA members. I should have a schedule by the end of this week. We're working on a schedule. We have a rough agenda. And so, yeah, I'd like to just come to the town board with a request for using some of those funds.
When we talked about it at staff, there was a question, you raised the possibility of having maybe a pass that could be used by, you know, more than one person in the event that somebody's interested in
Right.
some sessions and not others, and maybe they could take turns being there. Is that a possibility, do you think, or?
I still need to see if that is a possibility. I don't see why not. Since I'm part of the committee that's planning this, I'm sort of asking ourselves if.
You can make it happen.
Right, right. But I thought that's what a planning board member asked, that they might be able to go to a morning session, but not the afternoon. So could they just pass it off to another
Right.
board member?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be great to have a couple planning board, Danby passes and
Yeah.
people can just go.
Because it's $250 a pop, so it
Right.
adds up. You know. And I think, you know, as the people who sort of providing oversight to the whole planning process, some of us ought to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there's some sessions, that there is a couple sessions on comprehensive planning, grant funding. There'll be a lot of mobile tours too around the area, but I can provide a little bit more details, but I just wanted to at least give you a heads up that I will be asking for some.
So schedule should be coming out like Friday or something?
Yeah, let's see, I think so, yeah, it'll still be draft, it'll be near final, like a 95% version. I think there's gonna be, we're still trying to
tweaking.
confirm a couple of
Yeah.
things, in the next couple of weeks, but I think by Friday, our plan is by this Friday to have it as near final as it can be.
Okay, cool.
So
That's
that's it.
coming up, so we definitely want to get it.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's neat that it's local. I mean, people who are coming from far
Yeah.
away are gonna have to spend extra money on hotels and
Yeah,
stuff.
sure.
Right,
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's a great opportunity being here.
Yeah,
yeah, we reserved a hotel block down at Hotel
Did you?
Ithaca, and it was,
Yeah.
you know, they're 180 a night still, so no, we
Yeah.
can save on those fees.
Yeah.
but,
Mhm.
Any questions for planning, zoning?
Well, there'll be, but later in the agenda.
Okay.
What?
We deal with the
You know,
special event law by and by.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
Just have to
And
keep.
now- And now, patiently waiting in the wings, so to speak, we have Chris Skarsky and Jim Holohan here to talk to us about the latest in our Clean Energy Community Grant process. So come on up so the folks in Zoom can hear you.
Give a quick introduction. I'm Jim Holohan. I hang out with Energy Matters. And one of the things I do is help bring in funds and grant money into town for the town to spend on energy related things. And over the last few months, we've been talking about being eligible for $60,000 in grant money, $10,000 for advanced benchmarking, the other $50,000 when we achieve a certain point level. And both applications have been put in, and as soon as we hear back from them, that they're in place and everything is there, we haven't got the official notice that it's started yet. So once it starts, we have a certain period of time to actually commit to doing a certain project with it. We're also, with the advanced benchmarking, we get a free energy audit for the building here as well. So we're hoping to use some of the money for that. So I think a while ago, we talked about some possibilities and maybe even tying some ARRA money, do something left over for maybe heat pumps or geothermal, or working on the building from the energy improvements to find out from the energy audit. So over the past, been working with Clean Energy Communities. That's been through NYSERDA in providing the money for us. And Chris Skarsky is here this evening to answer all kind of questions about anything to do with the project. He has a couple slides Mariah's going to get up for us, and I'll be here too in case to answer other questions. So,
Thank you, Jim.
You can stay here and then have to have
Thanks, Jim.
Jim.
Howdy, I'm Chris. I'm from the Cooperative Extension, Cooperative Extension down Tompkins County. Yeah, I work on the Clean Energy Communities Program. It's a NYSERDA program that provides grant funding and technical assistance to municipalities for energy projects. Yeah, like Jim said, I've been working with him on the benchmarking, which is tracking energy usage across the town facilities here. So we've got this building and the highway garage. And yeah, keeping updated sort of the energy usage in those buildings, using that data to identify where there might be some savings, both for, utility costs and sort of overall energy costs, but also bringing down our overall carbon emissions and sort of, making the building more comfortable, right? Humidity control, that kind of thing. There are a lot of,
Yeah, a lot of upside.
So if you could go to the next slide, please. Right, so like Jim said, we've gotten everything in to qualify for the grants. We just need to be told that we're eligible to apply. So the town is going to be eligible for 2 grants, one worth $10,000, the other worth $50,000. They can be split out, they can be combined. The only real difference is that the $50,000 grant you have to enter into a contract with NYSERDA because they want to see where it's going. The $10,000 can be paid out as direct to voucher for certain types of projects. We know the math on a heat pump, for instance, so they don't necessarily need a full contract with us if that's the route we wanted to go. Right, so like I said, the past participation, the town past work in the program got us to that 2-star designation, 3,000 point level. Jim and I turned the last thing in that qualified again the town for that $50,000. The 10,000 is kind of this like back grant, sort of like, hey, you did a bunch of work in the past, we have new funding, this is to reward past participation. When we get the notice of eligibility, we'll have 90 days from the date of that email. Hopefully it gets released in the next week or two. So that's why I put likely November is when it's going to come due. In November or at 90 days, we just have to have a project. We don't need to have a contractor selected. We don't need to have anything too crazy scoped, as long as we know what it is that we're going to do. It's going to be better to get that in sooner rather than later. This is a first come, first served program. There is a limited pot and it is being committed pretty quickly.
That's part of your job.
Yeah.
So identify the areas of construction or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can do a lot of that. I can do a lot of helping figure out metrics. I can help identify projects. Again, Jim and I have had some conversations about what might be solid priorities. We are.
You want to give us a hint?
Well, Jim already mentioned, but.
Yeah. So the advanced benchmarking comes with a free energy audit. It kind of sounds like the prize in a box of cereal, but by tracking our energy use for 2022 and 2023, the town's eligible for a free audit. So we have a really in-depth one of the highway facility from a handful of years ago. So one, in order to make the most out of the audit, you could apply that audit to this building. They'll look at lighting, they'll look at domestic hot water, they'll look at HVAC, and they'll look at building envelope. They can't do structural, they can't do, they might recommend double glazing, it'll be hard to know. But what we can do is we can commit the funds to the recommendations that they find, right? So they'll send an engineer up, this guy, Matt, he's good. He's also pretty funny, just incidentally. And so he'll come up, he'll walk the place, he'll interview staff, identify some of these areas for, we could save some energy here, or we could tighten this up and that might make this space a little bit more comfortable, or, so identify all that. And then the town essentially commits the balance, right? We've got up to 60,000, commits that to whatever they find. If they're like, LEDs would be a great move, you want insulation, you want to do X, Y, Z, right? Yep. So they'll come up with a whole menu. And then again, we've got that money that we can commit to it. So if you could go to the next slide, please, I've got one more. We've got the 50,000. I already did this one. Sorry, one more slide forward. So this is an abridged list. This is most of them. But here are the projects, right, that we can fund. Building heat pumps, that's air source or ground source. We can do LED street lights, but the town's already done that. So there's, insulation and air sealing, like I said, with that audit. So we get the audit under contract, then we apply the money. The audit from the highway garage is recent enough that we could use that. And so I don't think we had talked about if there were outstanding projects down there that might be worthwhile, but essentially what they want to see is if you're going to use the project or the funding for like insulation, they want to have an engineer come in and say like, hey, this is actually going to be cost effective, right? This is going to make, so the highway garage audit that we have helps us prove that. And again, we can get the free audit from the benchmarking that we can apply to this building, and they'll come up with a similar menu. But we don't have to commit any of the funds that we want to. We could do EVs, solar, we've got the array out there. And then electric landscaping equipment is actually easier than you think to spend $60,000 on electric landscaping equipment. The real commercial, like zero turn electric equivalents, they're coming in at, upper 30s, 40,000.
Really? Wow.
I've had people tell me that they work really nice and their ground screws are really into them, but so you could fill 60K with landscaping equipment. But so this is all of the ideas. And then I am really kind of at y'all's disposal. If there's one of these that is of particular interest, I can answer any questions on that based on my conversations with Jim, right? It seemed like an audit for this building and some funds towards some reconstruction here might be worthwhile. But if there's anything that's really jumping out at you.
Insulation, and then windows.
But
Right.
I've already
And
done
I
it.
was wondering about the highway department.
That's
They
what I
have like
like
big
having,
giant doors,
that's why I think it's really good to have the audit and
right?
then they'll tell us. what
Start
we need.
feeling
Right,
able to,
Yeah.
right.
right?
I mean, we spent quite a bit with highway already, and one of the things we did was replace the garage doors.
Right, but do they close it? Well, they close it.
With the highway department, the doors, the idea was to have automatic door closers. So when they pulled up, they didn't have to get out, raise the door, go inside, get out of the truck, back outside. So they could raise the door, pull inside and close the doors. They're also insulated.
Yeah.
So they were a big improvement.
Yeah. And the building was weather sealed and insulated. as
Yeah,
well.
the highway, the garage is in good shape.
Yeah.
There's not much left to really deal with. We put insulation over the office areas. We put heat pumps in the mechanics bay. We put heat pumps in the office areas. We insulated and air sealed the whole truck, the truck bays out there. So we did a lot of work.
Right.
This
Yeah.
building is in pretty good shape, but the new one, it may be ripe for some improvements.
I mean, court.
Well,
Area.
the new building, quote unquote, new, which is like 25 years old at this point.
Of that division.
Yeah, not super well insulated and,
Starts in the clerk's office.
But that's what the audit will show us.
yeah.
Right. I was just
Exactly. So I
wondering,
look forward to
we
seeing.
have some advanced info already from Jim.
Yeah, I think there was an audit done here 15 years ago or so.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it
a lot of
wasn't
work
really
involved.
depth on it.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what the insulation is underneath the floor here, or I think it was up in the top area, there was some up there.
Oh, yeah. And we did that and they did perimeter down in my crawl
It's a
space.
perimeter, okay. Yep, and so there is the, okay,
Oh, yeah, you're kind of far from, right?
Yeah.
Flip a chair.
so, the heating system is 20 years old in the building. There, it's condensing. So it's a, top of the line for a fossil fuel system. But we could look at heat pumps, which would increase it by threefold as far as if putting a heat pump in here instead of having the condensing fossil system. There's also geothermal we could look at, which would be a longer term project. There's good incentives out there for that.
So what I'm asking is that, can you provide numbers of what we will save with each of those improvements? So I love the idea of heat pump, but that may not save us as much as just doing insulation. So,
Right, that'll come
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the energy.
That's the
The
audit.
the audit will indicate, where the best bang for the buck is.
And they'll look at things again, like the HVAC, so they can give a workup of, the ones that I've been seeing do include, air source heat pumps or ground source,
ground
so
source.
that they will look at all of that. And then again, so one of the benefits of going that route for us too, is it allows us to commit the money from the state. But then we don't have to actually choose a project until the audit gives us that,
Oh, cool.
that savings, sort of workbook. So that's, if that's kind of what we're talking about, that's a very yeah.
and we should be like through that process in a couple of months. Love that. I saw
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, and we
Depends
have
on
to
their
be,
schedule, not ours.
right, and we have to. be,
Jim
because
shook
of
his head yes.
Well, so the big timeline, once we get the award notification email from NYSERDA,
They don't have it.
especially if this is the idea that we want to go through the audit and then commit the balance towards implementing the recommendations, it'll benefit us to be ready to turn that stuff in basically as soon as that email comes in. So as soon as NYSERDA says, hey, you're eligible to apply for up to 60K, we want to be able to go to them immediately and say, because again, it's a single pot statewide and it is getting committed down. So there is a world in which we're eligible for the full grant amount, but then maybe actually can't claim it. So that's part of I don't think it's quite that dire. I don't want to spook anybody.
That's all right, we can be spooked.
But if this is, but if the audit and the upgrades for this building is the.
So if we voted on asking you to move forward right now.
Yeah.
Then you'll be done in a month with the audit and then we'll be in a good position.
We'll have to wait till they get a.
We
say
need
they
the
can
audit.
Apply yet, but then,
But then, yeah.
but they can move ahead if we make the motion, they can move ahead as soon as they hear from the state saying it's okay to apply.
Okay,
Yeah, but what the point Chris is making, it would behoove us to be, when they say you can apply.
That's why we're voting now, to say
Yeah.
that's what we want to do. Make a motion now that says we want to use the grant money for the audit
Okay.
and then the rest of it for whatever the
audit's
audit
free.
recommends.
Yeah, the audit does come in free and then the
balance.
60K gets committed to.
Do the-
Whatever we want to use it for.
I second it.
Yeah.
I just do it, I seconded it. That's right.
Is there a timeline from when at the end of the 90 days until you have to actually do the work for it to be completed?
Yes, but it's a matter of years. The contract timeline is pretty forgiving, especially because they realize that we're committing funding towards we have to wait for the audit. It's not too long a process, but it's certainly not quick.
I was gonna say,
yeah.
the sooner we can get on the audit, the better. Right?
Yeah, so we have these parallel timelines. The audit will happen. We've committed the funding towards whatever the audit recommends. So that's no longer an issue. We just have to wait for them to say what it is before we can move forward. But again, the contract timeline with NYSERDA to actually spend the money, do the work. They're pretty forgiving. Because they recognize that there's a lot that has to go into it. So we don't want to dally, but I'm not worried about coming up against the end of that.
Yeah. We had that issue with the highway work. It was really hard to get anybody to do the weather sealing part of it.
The audit actually getting done is not in our control when they come in. It's once they sort of commits to go ahead, then the company has to it might take them 3 weeks to get somebody in. It might take them a month and a half to get somebody vetted. Then everybody's backed up on work and NYSERDA's backed up. So it may take a little while to actually it might not be 3 weeks, a month, it might be 3 months, who knows?
Right, which brings us right back to where I was before, which is, I know those,
It takes a while.
yeah, it takes a while. So do we have a motion?
Yes, we have a motion and
And
a
a
second. We
second.
can vote now.
Yeah,
Well, before we vote, we could clear what we're voting on. So the motion.
Yeah, I would like some clarity on that as well. Thank you.
The motion is that we use the grant money for the, what is it?
Audit and upgrades.
We use the grant money for the audit and then the upgrades based on what the auditor recommends.
Okay.
The audit.
This is,
The
we're, yeah,
audit is free, yes.
yeah, we're assuming that there's gonna be $60,000 worth of recommendations that come out of the audit, but
Right.
That's
But
highly
also,
likely.
there'd probably be some heating that will be looked at in there. So if there, if they came back and said, you don't need any insulation, won't be any money
Right.
for anything else. But there'll be $60,000 in things, between.
Yeah.
What you can, even
We
if
do
you
the
buy a
heating.
nice lawnmower for the road, for outside, or if you're buying,
Use the money.
heat pumps or, air source heat pumps or ground source heat pumps, it will take up to $60,000.
Now, the EV, that said, that for fleet use,
yeah, like if you wanted to buy a,
or only for the town.
right,
fleet,
right, like if highway wanted to buy an electric
like to
pickup truck.
replace this thing up here.
We could, so, sorry, I left EV chargers off the list, not intentionally, just, so EV chargers either for public or fleet use is an acceptable use of funds. So if you wanted to replace that one, buy it a sibling, or, right, if you wanted to install one at the highway in anticipation of them getting an EV for their operation, all of those are also.
It's interesting, yeah.
So the question for Jim, that's not where you were thinking of getting that money, was it? I thought you had another source
We do, I mean,
for the EV chargers.
Right.
There's some, other money through,
Potential.
NYSEG.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
some, make ready.
nice, I guess, make ready, and then, with the county just did an RFP, for EV charging stations, and municipalities were polled to see who would be interested in participating. We were one of the municipalities, and there are 8 or 9 responses to the RFP. We reviewed them, and they're at the top few will do a turnkey, no cost installation of chargers. So those are the ones we're going to be interviewing. There's a bunch of questions that need to be answered, but we're going to be interviewing the top few to see which one we might be able to do a group purchase kind of deal.
Okay, so I want to just circle back to get the original thing completed. We have a motion. I have seconded it. Can we do the vote?
Yeah, done with discussion?
Well,
Yeah, well, that was the question, but, the other, we could add solar too, because we're not generating enough electricity to cover our needs. So that's a possibility.
yes, but they're gonna do the audit. They're gonna make a recommendation. I'm sure they're gonna be as smart about it as we are gonna, we could possibly
Yes.
be.
Except that but
And
the
it's
scope of
like
the audit is going to be limited to the building, right?
Yeah, they can't look at solar, they can't model that. They do have to do an energy analysis, so they might be able to answer like whether or not that array or like how far below that array is from sort of meeting anticipated annual demand, but they won't like scope out and give a quote for, because again, they're really focused on the, HVAC insulation, interior kind of the building system instead of, integrating the solar.
And we need that,
Sounds to
so.
me like that if we did all those other energy efficiencies, that we might make better use of the power that we are
Correct,
generating.
that's correct.
That's true. Well, except that if we switch from gas to electricity, it's going to increase our electricity consumption considerably. So,
True.
if we could generate more electricity, it'd be just
True.
good. And,
Gotcha.
but the other thing is that, if you're going to be comparing the cost effectiveness of doing geothermal or even air source heat pumps compared to, 95% efficient condensing gas furnace with gas prices where they are, it might be pretty hard to sell.
Well, and that's they do that comparison. Again, they'll take a look at that aspect of the utility bills, and they can do some modeling on. We are seeing, depending on, certain building characteristics, slim utility bill savings from the switch. So it is not necessarily, but that depends on a lot of factors. And the heat pump technology, especially ground source, they're only getting more efficient. So even though 1 unit of electricity costs more than 1 unit of gas, you're getting more heat per unit of
Oh, sure.
electricity.
3 times as many.
Right, and so
Yeah.
that's where it starts to get like, okay, well, if you get you know, and those are kind of later questions, but
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, from our perspective, I mean, we could, if it were even close, you know, even if we didn't gain anything in terms of monetary savings, you know, the
Hmm.
fact that we're switching from a fossil fuel to potentially renewable
I
energy
just
would
want
be
to
a
say that
plus.
we're debating something that hasn't happened yet. And the other thing is that we haven't even gotten our expert to give us the opinion to do this.
Yeah, the only reason I was raising this point was simply to say that it might not be that easy to find $60,000 worth of work to do on these
Right.
buildings.
Jim didn't think that.
I think
I
that
think if
that's,
you're doing air source or ground source heat pump, you're also getting air conditioning in the building, which
Well,
is,
that's true,
which is a
yeah.
big plus.
Right,
And the ground source heat pumps are becoming more efficient because, compared to air source, because you're also using a temperature that's more stable on
Right.
the ground.
Yeah.
So,
no,
they can pull more energy from that.
yeah. No, I mean, to me, it makes sense, but I was always questioned if you need to justify it from a totally fiscal perspective.
but
that-
that's,
that might
what-
be
But that's
hard.
what they're
that's what
doing.
we're trying to get to.
That's what
right?
the audit
That's what
does. They
would be
do
doing.
that analysis.
Yes, Pat, the point I'm making is that what the audit might show is that it doesn't pay because because we've already got a 95% efficient furnaces, that we might want to do it anyway, but if they won't let us do it because it doesn't make economic sense, then that's not a possibility, and then we might have trouble finding $60,000 of other thing to do. You're not gonna find, unless you want to do perimeter installation because the slab's uninsulated.
So
We can always.
I'm gonna go back to Jim again, because Jim's already answered this question.
Yeah.
I have a question related to that though.
Speak up,
As,
Jim.
as far as, will NYSERDA still give us the money if the, SIR, the return on investment is, a negative, if it's equal to one,
Yeah.
where's that across?
So for upgrades like insulation, there's got to be a certain return. I don't know exactly what the ratio is before they'll fund it. For things like fossil replacement for like heat pump system, they're always ready to fund electrification because they do a couple of calculations. Some of the calculations are purely fiscal. Some of the calculations incorporate the anticipated costs of like carbon dioxide and emissions.
Okay.
So there are, and they'll lay it all out, but they will generally, they will always support a conversion away from fossil fuels, given the like expected value of emission savings, because that's a worthwhile end that they're trying to get after. And again, the audit will come up with this menu that'll have that listed out. And so you'll have an idea of like, okay, well, it may not save us much, but it's still recommended because it's a fossil reduction.
Right.
Or like, if we pair that with this, the insulation piece, then together those will save us this much.
Mhm.
I wish I'd thought I had to bring one of them, but they do, yeah, they'll have this whole like menu.
Well, that answers my question too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we now ready? Okay, Mariah.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes,
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Canyon.
Yes,
Thanks.
guys.
yeah, thank you both.
Thanks, y'all.
Questions?
Yeah.
Anything else?
So please.
I have one more. What's the next level we can go towards? What's the next?
So the next grant amount is $100,000 grant. You get that at 5,000 points in the program.
We're three.
We just hit 3.2, I think, 32. So that next 1,800, there are some pathways. Some of the actions include so the town's past participation in like the Heat Smart campaign. Those are considered still active under NYSERDA. So we have opportunities to identify, there haven't been a lot from what I've seen, but if we can identify certain heat pump installations that take place in the town, if the town plays an active role in promoting new ones, right? So hosting materials, I think I dropped off a couple of flyers from our regional clean energy hub. They provide free energy advising to all Tompkins County residents about how to like think through some of these problems. So if the town plays an active role in promoting things, like heat pump and weatherization, then we may be able to claim some credit for that. I will be honest that based on what we have talked about as far as like what is already in the pipeline, the big ticket items are things like you have to own a new solar generation, or you have to completely convert a facility away from fossil fuel. They want to incentivize new actions. So to get the town to that 5,000 point threshold would be a significant lift. I think it would be very worth it for a lot of reasons. These projects have a lot of value on their own. But as I said before,
We have to do the project in order to get to the next level.
yeah, well, and the money is being committed a little bit faster than we anticipated. So we can certainly look at how to get to that next level of grant funding, but I want to be clear that
Not that easy to get there.
it's not that easy to get there, and that we're up against a clock that is looking less and less forgiving kind of by the week. So this is something that we're running up against in all the communities that I work with on this. Is just it's kind of hard to predict out exactly what we might qualify for in the future based on what the funding levels are currently.
Probably buying an existing solar array wouldn't count, would it?
What is it? It's got to start generation after 2021. So even if you take it
16,
over, yeah. So this array is too old.
One of the highways are more recent, but not that recent.
Yeah.
2016, I think it was.
Yeah. So it's something I can keep exploring with Jim, and I'm happy to come out whenever and update on progress or help think through sort of strategies. But I will just be honest that unfortunately it might be
Unlikely.
we'll have to see. Yeah, I don't want to get anybody's hopes up.
Well,
Steps first. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're really clear.
I think that's okay, because the only one of us, Leslie will have maybe some speak up.
Maybe a little bit
Might hear you
closer.
better.
Yeah.
It's hard to hear you.
Speak louder.
But like there,
You're
you have a good penetrating voice, Paul.
Penetrating.
Yes. All right, let's see, where are we? That was reports, no minutes.
I move that we approve the August 5th town board meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion. Did you hear that motion, Mariah?
I think she said yes.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yes, I did. Who seconded?
Okay.
Gannon, you seconded it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Are we ready?
Yeah, it's good. My next question, are we ready? Any comments, additions? Okay, yes, we are.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gannon.
Yes,
Thank you.
Welcome.
thank you for your timely execution thereof. The warrants.
I move that we approve the general fund vouchers 248 through 266 for $15,667.75.
second.
Any discussion?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, the vote?
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gannon.
Yes.
Thank you.
I move that we approve the highway fund vouchers 138 through 148 for $37,883. and 0 cents.
Second.
Any discussion of those? Nope. Okay, the vote.
Connors,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yeah.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks.
So moving on to business. Leslie mentioned, although we're not doing the interview tonight, we might talk a little bit about the questions that will be asked of the interviewees next time. I did remark that I noticed that, you know, our meeting in September is the day before the CAC meeting.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of like last minute to appoint somebody.
Yeah. I mean, we had 2 people set up.
Yeah.
One of them is sick and the other is in Virginia and just moved her daughter into the dorms for the first time. And I told her just to go to dinner.
Mhm.
I was like, she doesn't need to Zoom.
Yeah,
So,
for this
anyway.
job interview.
yeah.
Yeah. So there was a good discussion, I thought, at the CAC meeting about, you know, what the group would like to have in its secretary. And it primarily focused on the minutes.
The discussion went across the board.
It did. Isn't that what we want, what we don't want?
Yeah, I like Leslie's questions, and there was one more that came after that I forgot to say.
I
Who
guess I didn't
was
see
it?
that. Yeah.
What?
I guess I didn't see that.
What was it?
You got them right in front of you somewhere. I think Leslie just handed
They
them.
might have, are they
Oh.
right here? Is that them?
Here's some right here.
Here they are.
Oh.
That's what I write.
Oh, that is, I didn't. look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
Is that the one?
That's it. I need to get a towel.
There, here it is,
I got that too.
right here.
I need to get a towel.
Oh. A towel?
Yeah.
Will someone from CAC be here?
We don't know. They're invited. They're invited.
No, not today. but-
Well, I mean, they were invited to attend and participate in the interview
Right.
process. I'm not sure anybody would have come, but they were all contacted. And
Yeah.
I contacted them and Leslie did this afternoon, say, not happening today. And so they'll be told they could come next time if they want to.
I mean, we do have time to, between now and the 9th, to look over.
Yes, right.
questions and
Right.
cross some out or change them.
Did you, because I didn't yet, share with the applicants the enabling resolution for the CAC? We said we were going to do that. You did do that? Yeah, okay, so they know what
Yeah.
the charter was, so to speak.
Aside from that other question that I now would like to try and find that came in the email, somebody sent it.
That Margaret sent.
I think it was
Maybe.
I think
Yeah,
it's Corbett, yeah.
I would like to actually suggest that we adopt these questions for most of our appointments. I mean, they're
Pretty
they're
Pretty
great,
much
they're
the
great questions.
general questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
and instead of just saying, what do you do for fun? They actually ask them questions that I
Mhm.
think are very helpful.
I mean, I took some of the lists that we've
Yeah.
generated in the past, and then I tried to add
Things that make it
what
specific.
Margaret and Ann both
Okay.
mentioned.
Yeah,
Mhm. That's good,
I think they're great.
but,
There may be too many of them, there may be.
well, I mean, you could ask some of these questions of the candidates as part of their application.
No.
It's late, they've already applied.
Not for this, this is done.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
no, not this time, but I'm just
Yeah.
looking at a future template or process.
Possibly.
It depends on what kind of application
it's-
they're gonna,
Yeah.
if they're doing the county application,
Right.
you're not gonna.
Well, that's true,
Civil service application.
Yeah.
possibly.
but if you're applying to be on a planning board or.
Yeah, I mean, this is a minute taker. I mean, it sounded like some CAC members wanted a little, hopefully somebody who was invested in the effort
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
had an interest in the activities. But the main thing is a recorder of the meetings.
yeah,
And then some organization of maybe documents,
mhm.
and nagging.
Yes.
Nagging was.
Not everybody agreed on the nagging, but.
Well, the problem was when that discussion was going on, there was a fair amount of discussion about the fact that people were second guessing what is gonna happen from the office
Yeah.
and what participation
Yeah.
the town clerk, et cetera, and records has.
Mhm.
So, because they're not in the office watching the documents change, so.
And then, and
Right.
everything's in a state of flux with this,
Right.
just switching over.
Exactly.
So anyway, these are excellent questions.
I think they're excellent too.
Whether we can use them all,
we don't need to ask them all this time,
or we could take the meeting.
or
next time.
everybody, each one of us ask them.
Mariah raised the interesting point that, whoever goes first gets to answer, hear what the other one said, but so they're not quite on equal footing, in terms of their vying for the position, as it were. We could share the questions with them ahead.
I always do that.
Do you?
Yeah.
So then they know what they're going to be
Right.
asked. And that puts them on a more equal footing.
Yeah.
I am curious, you mean you're gonna have all the candidates in the room at the same time?
But what we did last
Well, we
time, you
have-
may recall, well, you weren't here last time,
Yeah.
so you didn't know. We created a committee of two to whittle down the 8 down to a couple of finalists who were asked to go to attend a CAC meeting to get a sense for what the group was like.
Okay,
And they
but
did.
what I'm thinking
Yeah.
about is the interview,
It's all.
have them go stand in, the one that's not being questioned.
Oh,
I think it'd be easier on the people too, And it seems fair, I guess, that's what.
We could do
I mean, we
that,
could ask them to come at different times.
Yeah.
which you were gonna do
Leave when they're
anyway.
done. I mean,
Well, that's what you had arranged to happen tonight, except one is gonna be by Zoom, and how do you have?
Right,
um,
yeah.
I suppose you could have that person go first, and then it wouldn't matter with it, because the other one could just
I
step
think as
outside.
long as Leslie's is able to share the questions
Yeah.
ahead, I don't think that matters, but if people are gonna answer. When somebody's, they have all their ideas right there in front of them in their head, until somebody actually says, oh, and Ms. Connors, what would you like to do? And then they're like, they go back to square one with what they're thinking.
Yes.
This is not the. Anyway, I think we're worried too much. I think these are great questions, submit them and.
There's plenty here to talk about, so, if we limit ourselves to these questions, we would not be badly served.
No, but I mean, the big thing for me is to make sure you ask the same questions. I mean, so you're asking the same questions of all the applicants.
Yeah, although
They're
sometimes,
interviewing.
the responses might
It might,
we do a follow-up question, but still, we want the basic same. Okay, especially if you share them ahead of time, then that
you just spill water.
addresses most of the concerns.
What happened?
Take over and copy it.
Oh, that would work. Okay. Next item, the Deputer and Hollow Road renumbering resolution. Which is, you didn't see?
I didn't see it.
No, it's in the meeting folder. Yeah, I printed it out, I think it is.
Where's the meeting folder?
It's in, work, well, not work drive.
But it was also with the agenda. You can
Okay, it
click on,
wasn't there when I looked.
okay, it was earlier today.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't look into, it was, I printed that out late this morning.
what's it called? Teams. In the town-
Leslie, are you familiar with Teams?
Hmm?
Are you familiar with Teams?
I'll figure it out with your help.
Okay, very good.
That's where things are. I'm still not sure the difference, between Teams and SharePoint, but,
I mean, I was looking at the agenda because I figured it would be.
yeah.
Below the agenda.
It was there
Okay, well,
this morning.
later.
Anyway, right.
Yeah, I worked it up on Saturday. And put it in there.
And this is
Anyway,
something
this
that's
is-
agreed with.
We all talked about it before.
Right,
anyway.
and this is agreed with Mark Whitmer.
Yeah, where our resolution is practically the mirror of theirs.
Okay.
All he did was straighten out he didn't have the list enough in numerical order. I mean, I changed the Caroline to Danby, you know, but, you know, we went through 3 or 4 drafts.
Yeah,
And this is what ended up being passed in Caroline, and now it's ready for us to do the same thing in Danby. So I moved the resolution to renumber the addresses on the future and Hollow Road.
I second it.
Any discussion?
Seems logical.
Was there any feedback at all from
No,
residents?
well, Mark had feedback. In fact, he had 4 out of 5 people contact him with questions or comments. Nobody came at him with a meat axe or anything, but
Oh, okay.
it's like, this is gonna be a pain in the ass. We saw it coming, it's kind of necessary.
Okay,
And nobody had contacted me from the Danby side. But they all got letters saying it was happening. The town board is going to be dealing with it this evening. If you'd like to comment, feel free to come and we'll be happy to talk to you. And nobody has.
okay.
So I think people, I think, you know, silence implies consent in the sense that nobody terribly upset about it yet to the point of wishing it, or wanting to keep it from happening.
Okay.
So, any other discussion? The one thing that materializes the last time was Mark spoke with the postmisters at
Oh, right.
Brooktondale, who told him that they would implement it as of September 1st.
Right.
The county will do it as of October 1st. October 1st is what we agreed to as the quote unquote go live date. And since Brooktondale is willing to jump the gun, say, well, fine, if you're gonna notify your utilities or whatever that your address is changing, you know, the post office will start delivering to the new address as of September 1. Emergency response people,
So for the Caroline people, the change will happen a month before the Danby people.
no, because it's the same post office.
No, the post office is the same as in Brooktondale, which is in Caroline.
Brooktondale, right, Brooktondale post office serves all of those addresses,
Does that whole road?
all the ones that have residences.
Does us. No, actually, we're in.
No, you're in Spencer.
Yeah,
what did you say? I don't think
Spencer,
anybody. I
Yeah,
didn't
Spencer,
understand
but Brookendale
Okay.
Post Office services.
A wide area, yeah.
It makes sense if you come out of the Brookendale Post Office, considering where it's located.
You can't drive driving
For the
down.
towns that they're in. Okay,
Yeah,
all right, let's do it then.
okay,
Right.
so ready?
Yep,
Okay,
Yep.
right.
Connors,
yes,
Hanson,
Yes.
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes,
Thank you.
one thing coming. If you want to approve a list of roads to be submitted for speed limit reduction. We have from Leslie, a list of the past list and the proposal for consideration of where we might go with another submission. So the 2016 list does indeed seem to be a little weird at this point.
yeah, that was a long time ago.
It seems like only yesterday, but
I know. It's funny because at the time, I remember thinking that it made sense, so.
yeah.
But I think we have different issues going on.
Well, the very good point that I guess it was Keith that made, right? Was that, you know, we ought to focus on where we had the biggest problem.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be on Heisey. It's on the heavily traveled sort of commuter routes.
Right.
Which suggests East and West Miller.
So,
So it's 45, is everything's getting moved to 45, except we're designated as something
well,
different.
these were old. This is the suggested.
Yeah, well, what-
possible new- I mean, I don't know if Keith's had any more thought about it.
Yeah, Keith is still here, because
It was,
speak to the issue.
Yep, yep.
the East Miller, West King, West Jersey, and moving that 40-mile-an-hour sign on 96B to north of the Miller Road intersection. Those were what was thought, at least, to be the first batch. And then the second batch was not developed, but was to look at West Danby, and especially in relationship to the problems or concerns with snow plowing in the winter, and what that is, and to also maybe look at South Danby Road into that batch. But we could put 2 or 3 more roads in that batch, so it's
So,
not done.
do we have guidance as to how many you can request with one in a batch?
We've
I think it's
we've
5.
done 4 or
Is it
5,
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 or 5.
If you call Miller Road one road, that's gonna be one, right?
No, well,
Got an east and a west, but it's all Miller Road.
yeah. But it's funny because they're different problems in some ways.
Yes,
Like the West Miller is a lot of the stork traffic.
yeah,
Yeah,
And-
they go home,
and
they
the-
go.
Yeah, and the East Miller is the going to and from Cornell and
Yeah.
back of IC.
yeah,
So, and, anyway,
yeah.
so they're different, it's.
So what's the
different-
resolution, that this first batch goes to 45 or goes to?
Yeah, but that was Paul's question was, what are we asking to reduce to?
Right,
And since we
Well,
only
the state would decide what the proper speed would be for the road. We don't have any,
we don't have to, yeah,
We don't have to tell them what we want.
Right.
They'll tell us what we get regardless. It ought to be less, and they'll tell us how much less,
yep,
yeah.
So
So
we
when-
tell you, you tell them,
right?
tell you,
Yeah, so to speak.
gotcha.
Do you know, Keith, what criteria they use for determining what the appropriate speed is?
You don't wanna
Several.
know.
well, they actually, so they come out, they drive the road, they get a feel for, if there's if there might be children in the area, or if there's obstructions by the road, or they get out, they actually drive it at different speeds, and that's where they come up with their study of what it should be. And unfortunately, there's what they come up with is what they come up with. And can you hear me okay, Joel? Or
Yeah,
yeah, okay. But what they come up with is they come up with a speed on it, and then it's really, highway doesn't have anything to do with what they come up with these speed studies.
Well, the reason I asked was because if their analysis is based on the condition of the road, the more we
Yep.
improve the road, the harder it is for us to get them to reduce the speed.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? You take out the curves, you take out the bumps, you take out the potholes. people
And
go
that's what
fast.
that's what a lot of people don't understand is we fix up the roads, and the better they are, the faster they will drive, and it's a vicious cycle, if you will. It's but a lot of people don't understand that, and you do. The better you make the road, obviously we want good roads, but we don't want to have all of our roads at 55 miles an hour either. And it's so I think that they're looking more for like obstacles and stuff that yeah, I mean,
intersections.
yeah, hidden driveways, that's a good point. There's all
Hills.
kinds of different things out there that it could be a very shaded area, it could be the way that you come out into the light all of a sudden that blinds you. We can only mow certain roads back so far.
Yeah, right.
Depending on the size of the trees and stuff, we can't just go in there and mow roads and they have huge trees. Whoops.
Yeah, Whipple's right.
I thought I lost you, I'm sorry.
No, you didn't.
I don't know what
So,
happened.
oh, you put the list up in front of me,
Oh,
good,
oh,
because
oh,
I don't have
alright.
the list in front, I didn't have it in front of me, but this is, yeah, this is the roads that we discussed. I'm totally in agreeance with Leslie on these through roads. I think that they should be the ones that are subject to change, the speed limits. These are the through roads that come in right into the town that most of the people are using. And yeah, some of these other, like what she's talking about, like with Heisey Road, not much of it's definitely not a through road.
No, it's definitely
Drive
not.
on Heisey.
I mean, you can hardly drive on
I know.
Heisey.
I think I'd mentioned maybe West King is a very highly traveled road.
Mhm.
There's a lot of traffic that pours in on that one. And the highways really need to look 3496. I'm not sure in our little meeting discussion who rose that. But 3496 is a big one, really, with the plowed trucks. It's very, that's our most dangerous route for plowing. You're really taking your life into your hands and it's somebody else's life that's speeding along that road when we're coming out of those little hidden roads down there. It's a very difficult area to get out there with a huge 17-foot plow in front of you. That one I would really like to see something done. But again, it'll be in the state's hands. So
I know that when I approached them about a crosswalk, they told me something that I hadn't thought about, but one of the things they use is line of sight, and that works for and against us.
Yeah.
Because they
yeah,
said,
exactly.
yeah, it's a really big problem, and a little tiny dip in the road can hide a school bus.
Yeah.
And they,
Yeah.
I don't know that they consider that, but they also said, if they provide a crosswalk, then the pedestrian thinks, oh, it's safe for me to cross the road.
Mhm.
And the car doesn't see the cross. It's just, it's a conundrum and it's difficult, and I hope that they just lower everything, but.
Yeah.
You know, and then I also had somebody recently tell me, oh, why didn't you do something like they did to the end of Comfort Road? They made it a super highway. And I said, first of all, it was the county, but
Yeah.
a fawn was hit the other day right on West King. I mean, and I know the person was just going too fast. There were others, but yeah,
Yeah, when you make the road wide and smooth
West King isn't.
and not,
No,
yeah,
some
right,
people
Nope.
just drive that
It's
way.
that commuter route that,
yeah.
yeah.
We were standing up, my driver, it was actually kind of funny, sorry about this little story, but this woman was walking her dog down our street, and we happened to be out by the mailbox, and we stopped and talked to the dog, and she talked about where she lived, and I thought, well, who moved out? Well, it was Jamie Vanucci, who's on the planning board with her dog. While we're standing, she's on the edge of the road.
Yeah.
This car went by. I mean, it was, I know they were going 60 miles an hour.
Wow.
And she even it was just shocking what people will do.
Yep.
And putting up a sign that says it's 40 miles an hour is no guarantee
Right.
that people are gonna behave, but they have in the past said, if you have a road and there's constant problems, if you can give us a day and a time, we'll come sit there. So,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mhm.
Anyway, I hope that we can go forward with this.
So,
These suggestions.
I move that we
do batch one.
go with this next batch. And what, Keith, remind me, we do up a resolution and we send it,
Because
does the clerk,
it goes to county.
the
for-
clerk
I
sends it
have to go to, yeah, it has to go to county first.
so the clerk sends it to the county and then,
The county sends it on to the
Yeah.
state.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or actually, well, it does go through highway as well, the
Okay.
town highway. But then it goes to county. Yes, that's right. That's correct.
I second that absolutely clear resolution that Leslie just made.
Yeah.
Got that, Mariah?
Are we approving the current list or is there a new list?
No,
Oh.
no, no.
No,
We're-
that first batch
we're-
that
we're-
starts with East Miller.
We're acting to advance the next batch for consideration through the appropriate channels.
After the words some road residents have requested, that, after that, just the top part is old.
Possible first batch,
Yeah,
that East and West Miller, West King, West Jersey Hill. And moving the 40 mph to the north of the intersection with
I
Miller.
don't know what happened with that. 'cause
I
we
don't know,
asked
'cause
for that.
I know we did,
I know.
and I thought it was approved
But
too.
maybe it didn't get sent in.
Yeah, maybe not. Anyway, definitely deserves it. So, it's been moved and seconded that we do that, advance that second batch. The sooner the better, I think, get it in the queue.
Very good.
Any other discussion? No, okay. Right.
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yep.
Hunter,
Yes.
Woodworth,
Yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, special event permitting proposal.
I have something to add to Greg's
Comment on special permit,
special permit. Yes.
okay,
You see
which we have all seen
Right.
and reviewed,
numerous times.
draft of.
I want to increase the fines for someone who actually
Oh,
creates a special event without getting permits.
well, every day is an additional violation.
So I want to really whack
every
them.
day. Can't be whacking
Wait.
people.
Well, not physically,
Hmm.
not even verbally,
Yeah,
no?
Before we start talking about this, I just looked at the agenda and realized that we did not link this to the agenda.
Okay,
no, nor did we have to, but.
You're
Wow.
about to discuss it and it really would be
okay,
appreciated.
stop. Stop.
Hmm.
So,
So
so
I
we
sent-
can't
I-
make any, shouldn't have a big discussion about it.
Yeah, luckily nobody's
Yeah.
pounding my door down about having a special
Yeah.
event in town.
okay.
So we could kick this to next time. I did send it, so I sent it to the town board over a week ago.
Right,
And I probably meant to just link it right then to the agenda, and I just remembered just now that,
well, we now
it's not.
can't link to the agenda, right? We have to.
right,
add
it has to
the
be
doc-
added,
so
yeah,
the
so it has to be added.
Documents are. below.
So,
Okay,
But we could, I mean, we can.
Whatever,
add it.
that's not relevant right now. The relevant part is it wasn't linked and it wasn't in that list.
it wasn't made public
Wasn't made
before the
public.
meeting, so,
Nor does it have to be in order for
No.
us to talk about it.
No.
I mean, you could,
But it'd be better if it was, and if there's no problem, then there's no reason not to.
Yeah,
We'll just
we
put it in the agenda next time.
So it's not a daily thing, it's a weekly fine.
but before we get to that, I think it's up
Can
to,
be patient.
or,
It's been it's been public before. There's
Right.
only some minor
Right.
changes.
right, I mean.
Yeah.
right, but this happened a few months ago where I didn't link it, and then I think we
Yeah,
started talking about it and then decided maybe we should wait. So,
And if there's not a problem,
yeah,
a time constraint, then there's no
No.
reason not to wait.
right,
Okay,
If we, yeah, if you don't, if you're okay with that.
I'm good with that.
okay.
So we're gonna
I'm
defer to
planted a
next time.
seed, though.
Let's just kick it, and there wasn't any meeting, right? As you all saw, it wasn't major, but I think it's better. Sorry about that.
alrighty.
All right.
here's this what you're talking about?
Let's see,
I needed item just as it,
that got pulled.
No, we dropped
oh,
that.
sorry. I didn't have
The
the
ARPA fund commitment update,
the solar array.
right, in particular includes the solar array, evaluation, the thing. And Jim, I'd like you to weigh in on this if you want to join us. The highway solar
Making, thousands of dollars.
evaluation,
The highway,
yeah.
solo.
Right.
What are we doing? Oh,
We're at the-
Well, as part of the ARPA, where are we with the scheme of things? We have we have, Laura's,
Right,
analysis of the implications of requiring it now versus
right.
not doing it until later. Doesn't include the possibly not doing it at all, but, I'm frankly fairly surprised that the benefit's not more obvious. Because as I recall, Paul, you said, this is a no-brainer.
I still believe it's a no-brainer, sorry. I did look at that.
So so what's missing here that would make you think that it's,
You're thinking that the amount of cost of utilities, we will recoup that quick enough.
right, basically the contractual rate, which is, has an escalator in it. There've been times when we've been underwater with it, it was more expensive using that solar than it would have been if we just bought the electricity from NYSEG.
Right.
It's supposed to save us
But
money.
generally, over the long term, I don't think we lost money over the long term.
Well, especially not recently, because we did with the increase in electric rates, when there's now more of a differential between what the contract rate is and the electric, what NYSEG charges. So it's definitely beneficial to have the electricity from that array. The question is, what's the difference between what we're paying and if we, now on an annual basis, and what we would be costing us if we acquired the system? So we have to pay to buy it. And then, be generated.
Whether we would bank the money, you mean? Because the thing is that we've got the money. So in some sense, it's free money to buy the array. So it's not quite apples to oranges.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
So this is available funds. I go back.
Well, they're available if we don't use it for something else, but then, it's a legitimate use of them for sure.
I quickly looked at it.
Savings.
Which I was surprised at how little difference
Average
there is.
amount per year over the. We currently pay Sun Investment $16,000. Does that include Laura, does that include the fire department?
Yes, the amount that the amount that we've been paying Sunbeam. When I put this together, it was just because I just got this thought. Let's take a look at what it really means if we buy this. And to just give you guys some numbers that you could use to make this decision. And I know that you're thinking about doing it for the 2026. So it's not something that I'm recommending or not recommending. It's just giving something to look at it from a different angle. That we currently pay Sunvestment for our energy production. I took an average over the last 3 years, $16,037. Okay, that's the average amount per year that we are paying Sunvestment for that energy production. So then I took that, and then I thought, okay, if you went ahead and you exercised the buyout at 2020 in 2026 at the 10 years, the amount that you would have to pay for that is $73,100. So then what I did there is I just I took your 16,037, multiplied it by 5 years, because they give you one option for 10 years, then another one for 15 years. And when I did that, it came up to the 16,037 would be the amount that we'd be paying for that production, over $80,000. Now, granted, we just bought that for the $73,000, and we would be eliminating, okay, 80,000. Okay, so what it is it comes up to be a net of $7,000. So the difference in that we would be saving in that 5 years, if we waited the 5 years, potentially what you could think just by looking at the raw numbers would be around $7,000. That's what it would be if we're looking at this. Now, there might be other things that come into play with this, with credits or whatever, but that we're just strictly looking at this. So you're saying if we'll spend the 73,000, and then we won't have to pay the 80 to Sunvest. So that'll save us $7,000. So I know that we've been going through some different things that we've been looking at, and the board has been interested in the cost of maintaining this, what's involved in trying to get somebody to, take a look at it. Are we thinking about anything? We're gonna have to insure it. We're gonna have to maintain it ourselves. We're gonna have to assume the risk of all the maintenance of it, for whatever that would be within that 5 years, depending on what would happen. And so I just wanted to come up with a number to give the board something to think about. If this $7,000, would they rather pay that $7,000 more by sticking with the Sunvestment right now? Or would they rather do the buyout and assume all that risk for 5 years? And and the other thing, Paul, which I kind of put down here, that breaks out to about $118 a month. But the other part of it too is that I said, and coincidentally, that difference between the payout, if we bought it in 2031 as opposed to 2026, is $7,000. We'd be paying $7,000 less for it if we did the buyout 5 years from now. So it's almost like a break-even thing. But the thing about it is that we would be assuming all the risk. So that's what I wanted to lay out here, about all that cash going out for this, as opposed to what we're paying for that and us not assuming the risk. And then we went and bought it in 2031. That $7,000 would be made up right there because we paid $7,000 for it in 2030.
Okay, my math is simpler.
Same risk.
Okay, so Jim's on call here because he's gonna say something in support of what I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, that's okay. That's good. I'm putting it out there. And it's
Our
good.
utilities costing $16,000 a year in order to get to the $70,000 amount of the buyout that we would be buying it now. Correct? That's the cost of living right now.
Yeah.
That's 5 years. So in 5 years, essentially, we break even because we paid forward for that 5 years. Now, the thing that I'm gonna get Jim to chime in on is my solar array is, let's see now, 20 years old, never has had a moment of any kind of maintenance costs associated with it. And I think that that's pretty much true. Okay, Jim, have you heard or have any, I mean, it's minimal maintenance costs.
Typically, it's minimal.
We've
There
had
are
none.
Inverters that go bad.
And at what rate?
I don't have that
Got it.
at my hand here. I'm not sure. They do go bad.
Yeah,
And I'm not that involved in solar that I would know what the rate is that they go bad at. It depends on how the system's set up, whether they're one inverter per every 2 panels, or if there's one inverter for every 10 panels. I'm not sure what the cost of the inverters are, so that would be something would be good to find out what a maintenance plan would be, whether even if you didn't know what the condition of the system was, just to find out what the cost for a maintenance plan would be a good.
Well, I thought they would do that. You could contract to maintain.
always think about those I mean, it's like insurance you're talking about.
Yes, right, yeah.
A plan for things to break down. The insurance companies or the maintenance plans are always ahead of this curve. So they're gonna make money.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what
On
insurance
these
companies
things.
do, yeah.
How much, do we know how much the insurance would cost? If we had to pay insurance?
No, we don't know those numbers. That's why I was also saying, it's important for us to continue on the mission we've been on before jumping into this and find out all of this information. We need to find out how much the insurance. I can't imagine that's a lot, but you never know. I don't know. We have never insured it. That other company insures it for whatever is going to happen. So between that, would we be putting some money away in our budget each year for maintenance of this thing? I mean, we have to be kind of secure for what we think we could be looking at potentially. So do you want a maintenance contract with someone? Or just the peace of mind, that we are not going to be responsible for anything that happens with this. Now, that might be worth it for you to take the risk on yourself. The board may decide for the $7,000. You may decide, well, why don't we wait the 5 years? We'll pay $7,000 less for it, and it's going to be somebody else's problem if something happens. It's always our problem too. I don't mean to make it sound like that, but it's going to be someone else that is going to. We're still going to have this large company, this Renovus, here doing their routine inspections. They come out to the highway department from time to time. They do their inspections on their asset, because it potentially is still their asset right now because we're just leasing it. And they do these things, do testing. If something happens where we're online right now, and we go offline, or something happens in there, we'll get a phone call, or they'll come out to find out what's going on with the connection to the building or whatever. So there's different things that they have involved in this. So to me, I just wanted to show this $7,000 and see what you thought about it from there. I know that there's a lot of other projects and everything that you guys want to use this ARPA money for, and you're sort of struggling a little bit. Which one should we do? Which one we got this extra money? I know you want to do your entranceway to your building. Maybe you cut back on some thoughts because of thinking of the solar array. So these are just numbers for you to mull over and see where it is. But finding out that other information, and I know, Jim, you've made some phone calls. Paul, you've tried to find some information out too.
So I'd like to know what Jim thinks about this.
Well, if Renovus installed it, Renovus is a good company, and Renovus it really owns it now.
Do they own it?
I don't think they own it now. This other company that's billing us.
It's investment, right?
Right,
Yeah,
investment.
okay.
That's investment. Okay.
I thought you were saying Renovus owned.
I know,
I thought that
I've
was-
spoken.
That's what he said, yeah.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, if they own it, then they would want to put in a quality thing, because they don't want to come back and fix things.
Exactly.
Correct.
So, and they're a good company, so probably what they install, but it might have been dictated by someone else what they actually installed. But typically they install, good equipment, so it probably will last, but there are things that happen, what if electrical storm happens and it hits the array, but whose responsibility is it then? I don't know.
Well, if we owned it,
If we owned it, it'd be ours, but,
But if we didn't own it, then who's
and
responsible?
again, we're talking likelihood here, and I just have to admit that, insurance companies, they have figured this out, that they're not gonna lose money. They'll make money on this. So if we're paying for an insurance company to cover us, obviously, they know that the long-range plan is that it's not gonna break down for them. And then we're gonna be paying them in excess of whatever the calamity might be.
Yeah.
And they've run, actuarial numbers to ensure that they don't ever lose money.
but the bottom line here, though, is that, we've only got a $7,000 benefit for buying it now. And we're gonna, and we will have, when we can speculate about what the costs are going to be, there'll be a probably fairly small amount to insure ourselves for that asset. And
That's what we need to check first, not make assumptions on that.
well, I mean, you say it might be more than we think.
That's, you check first before you make assumptions.
Yeah. But the point I'm getting at is the $7,000 enough to warrant us even seriously considering?
Okay, that 7,000 is $16,000, which is what we pay to the utilities companies right now.
Mhm.
Well, whether we pay the
So
$16,000.
we would be saving that $16,000
Correct.
every year.
Yeah, but we'd be paying it.
So that's what I'm saying, in 5 years,
And we will have paid.
we have recouped our investment of $70,000, which is pretty darn fast.
That's true. The important thing to double check is more than that, is long-term. How long they would last, and if there's a requirement for insurance, how much does that cost? And since we don't have that, there's no sense in talking about it, then till we check those details.
Well, I mean, you're right, but only if it makes economic sense to even check.
Well,
Like,
Yes,
it
it
can't
doesn't
hurt.
hurt to check.
I'd like to know what the insurance costs are and what a maintenance plan would cost.
Yeah,
My reason for doing this, and as you guys are talking, that's kind of coming to my mind as I'm hearing what you want to check. My reason for showing that was that difference gonna be 7,000? Was it gonna be 40,000? Was it gonna be 50,000? And I don't think we really were thinking about what that number really was gonna be. That's why I wanted to take a look at it. And of course, after the 5 years, look at the next amount that you would pay for the buyout. Okay, the next amount, $7,000 less, but you haven't assumed any risk as it went by. Now, if this difference was going to be 40 or 50,000, then you'd think, yeah, we can assume a little bit more risk. But if it's
But you
only
can-
7, you can
I'm
think.
sorry, it's just so wrong. If you wait 5 years, you will be paying that amount of money for the usage of the electricity that is, every $16,000 for every one of those years that you're paying that out. So.
right, that's right.
So it's not like you.
It's around 80,000.
Yep, it's a way to look at it. And Paul, you're looking at it this way. There was some other numbers to look at it from a different angle. And so that's what's in there. That's what is the good part of the discussion. Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not coming here recommending either way. I'm just providing some numbers for you to see what that difference was.
So the difference is, we can pay now $73,000.
Yeah.
Or 5 years from now, we can pay 66,000 plus a $70,000 because we'll be paying for those utilities during that time.
Correct, that's
So
correct.
that's $130,000 or $35,000.
The
Okay,
insurance isn't that high.
No, it's not likely to
You'll
be.
be paying for those utilities, but you'll also have been paying out $73,000.
Jesus.
I don't,
It's
you
just
know what I'm saying?
just a thought, just a
Well,
thought.
yes, but we will have spent this $73,000 in order to buy
Right.
it.
But that's, if we do that now, it's $73,000 that we'll be outlaying. If we wait 5 years from now, we're gonna be paying $66,000 to buy the array.
And it's 5 years old.
Plus 5 years worth of utility cost,
Correct.
which is another $70,000 when you
No.
multiply. When you take that $16,000
80.
of utility cost,
Per year.
Right, so it's $7,000 difference.
amount per year in the last
It was
3 years has
7 grand.
been $16,000 in utility
And
cost.
times 5 is $80,000.
Right.
Times 5 is 70,000, that's, okay, $80,000. But yeah, I'm saying 70,000. but-
No, well, that's how much it cost.
So she's
That's
saying
not-
it's actually more.
No.
Of course, $70,000,
We'll be
$7,000.
paying out $80,000 in
Utility costs.
That's mine.
in utility costs. Yeah,
Right.
through some investment.
It's okay.
Right.
Correct, plus
Bring it over.
66,000 to buy the thing. So $140,000 versus paying $70,000 now. I'm not.
No, I don't.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I would like to
Okay.
know
Have to
what the
take-
insurance costs is,
Yeah.
and if would we have to have a maintenance plan?
We wouldn't have to, we could.
We don't have to have. a
We
maintenance
just
plan.
don't have plan on anything going wrong with it.
No, we have to have a plan to deal with maintenance, but we don't necessarily have it contracted out.
Right, you can budget
But
something
you'd want a
for it.
budget,
Yeah, well, we do want to budget something.
yeah.
Well, this is where Jim's analysis would be kind of handy to have, is to know what we expect, it might be.
Oh,
If you knew what the inverters were and what their
Right,
expected
we're
life
working on
is.
getting that information.
Right, so we might as well wait till we get that information to discuss it more.
Just want me to stay out of it. I'll be glad to.
this one too.
So in other words, for this next 5 years, You're either, if you do the buyout, you'll pay 73,000. If you don't do the buyout, you'll pay 80,000 for the 5 years. Is what you'll pay. The difference is $7,000. Then you can exercise your next option at 66,000 to buy it. So
Laura,
there's,
you're not,
do
you're
you
not
like the
including
7,000?
the actual utility costs we're paying over those 5 years.
That's what $80,000
That's
is.
what $80,000
That's
is.
the
But then you also have
$80,000.
to pay for the array, which is
No.
$66,000.
Well, I mean, in 6 years, you'd be looking at the same, you'd be in the same
That's
situation
right.
again.
In the
But
same situation.
Is somebody not getting this?
I'm not sure, Paul.
Okay. If you pay, right now, you're paying
73.
$73,000.
Yeah.
That's right now. That means over the next 5 years, you don't have a utilities cost,
Right.
right? In 5 years from now,
We'll
you
save
will
it.
have to pay $66,000 for the array. And you have to also consider the fact you have been paying someone for the electricity that array has been producing the last 5 years.
So waiting
And that
5
adds
years
up
to
to like
pay,
$70,000.
waiting 5 years to buy is stupid. It
If
would
you're gonna
cost
buy
us,
it.
it
you
would
buy
cost
it in
us
5 years.
146,000, basically. is
Okay.
what she-
No,
but-
that's not correct, but that's okay.
Well, it's not okay. I mean, Pat's pretty good with numbers.
Yeah, if we have to pay Sunvestment $80,000 and then we have to pay $66,000, $140,000. And
Yes,
we pay 173, so it's way more than 7,000. Way more than 7,000. You're not counting what we have to pay for the array at that point in time.
Most likely it's a good investment.
it's a huge,
Do it
it's a
now.
great investment
If everything doesn't, if you don't have a major problem.
if you
Right.
don't have a major problem, right?
Warranty.
That isn't. That isn't.
What about warranty?
Most of these things come with a 25-year warranty. Mine did.
He's muting.
Well, Ted has considerable expertise in this matter, so it's not unreasonable to have him comment.
I think so.
Warranty that probably doesn't protect us against the things that we're worried about, like a
Like,
storm
Well, no,
blowing up.
that's
If it
true.
takes to get to inverters, which we don't know what the warranties are.
Right, we don't know, right?
Which is why we don't have enough information to do anything now, so we need to check that stuff. You
But it
willing
was
to
a
check
good
that stuff?
discussion.
No, yeah, it was.
You willing to check that stuff?
I'm working on it.
Thank you very
I
much.
mean, I had a sense that, something's missing from this analysis, and I think you put your finger on it, Paul.
yeah,
Um,
Total cost of ownership.
Let's,
Yeah.
we can
Can
check
we
with
look at
Renovus
this?
and see if there's also a warranty.
Yeah, so that
Um,
I've been trying to get in touch with Renovus to get information to find out what.
What the
actual-
equipment is,
What the
right?
equipment is.
Yeah.
We have someone that will come out to do the assessment, based on, but they wanted to know what the warranties are. They want to know what the equipment is. They want to know,
yes.
before they actually come out.
Makes
Like,
sense.
right,
Right.
so I've been working on that.
Thank you.
Wish I had
So-
the answer.
Okay, so this is all by way of,
Oh, do we not
An
have a
update?
contract? Do we not have?
We have you mean with the
It's
Sunbelt,
an investment.
With Sunvestment, yeah.
and that's.
So if you
ongoing.
want to use the ARPA funds, what I've seen is that we have, I believe, about 40,000 set aside.
yeah,
45.
Purchased as 45. So we're looking at about using about $28,000 of ARPA funds. Or just use it all through the ARPA funds and use that 45 for something different.
right, because
Yeah.
it's not in a committed reserve. It's
That's
just-
correct, it's not.
So we could direct it. so
And
to
if we
speak.
do that, there's no time limit on it, so it'd be more sense to do that.
That's right. Well, there's something to be
If we
said for
choose
that.
it.
Right, if we want to go that way, that would get us out from having to have things, money committed by the end of the year. So that's a possibility, but we need, it would be good to have the answers to the questions about.
Yes, correct.
About insurance and,
Warranty.
Maintenance and warranty, and
Maintenance.
stuff, yes.
so if we could
That's
get
a good
that,
job.
yes, Jim, if you could get
Thank
on
you.
that one. Yeah,
Oh, boy.
yes. So we need insurance and equipment evaluation, basically.
Keep remembering that you've been on this board.
Yes.
And you've just kept your mouth shut for a good solid 15 minutes. And that's incredible experience and wisdom.
That's Jim for you.
Right.
Sure, right?
Do you want this now? So, can
It's
we-
missing here.
Sure, sure, 'cause it's something in the back.
I move that we give ourselves another, well, day 15. Hopefully get through it faster, but we need to extend the meeting.
Second,
Mid-budget,
Um,
approval of spent highway
well,
funds.
we need to discuss that unless you want to. Mariah,
What are we doing? Oh. yeah.
we're voting to give
Spending,
ourselves a
okay.
little more time.
Connors,
Yes,
Hanson,
Yep.
Hunter,
Yes,
Woodworth,
yes,
Gagnon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Do we have, budget adjustments, Laura? I don't remember seeing.
Yes, we do. They got to you, we lost power. And I was trying to get online and got home. So you got these a little bit late, but we do have, so this will be pretty quick. We're doing really good with our, and I couldn't get the analysis sheets to you too, because we didn't have any internet. I couldn't get them out to everyone. And then I needed to be able to get on the server to find some other numbers. But anyway, what we do have for tonight is going through the budget and where we're at. We have got 4 line items that we need to pay some attention to a little bit here, or actually 3 line items. Our unallocated insurance,
You have
okay,
that?
our unallocated insurance right now is $9,000 over budget for the insurance. That is because when we're going through the budget, number one, we're estimating what our property insurance is going to be while we're going through the budget. Also, there are some pieces of equipment that we have found that were on that bill that shouldn't have been on that bill. So we're going to adjust this too. But to make it the budget whole right now, I'm just suggesting we make a budget transfer to make it whole right now, and we can adjust as they're finding out and they're submitting some of those changes to it. So I've just got in here, Mariah, do you have that sheet? I'm just suggesting for to make the 9,000.
No, I don't. It wasn't
Oh.
attached to the email.
Okay.
Do you have it electronically, Laura? You could screen share it?
Well, I can't. I'm
No,
out
I
of
don't have it.
when I had it, but I can make this so that I can talk it so you guys know what's happening. Okay. I am just putting down here that we have a contingent account of $6,000 right now. My thought is take $5,000 of that contingent amount, transfer it over into the insurance line, and the other $4,400 to make that whole, take that out of our garage contractual. We are talking about different things, I'm sure, with equipment that is making this, to be. So if we were to make that budget transfer, 5,000 from contingent, 4,475 from garage, which we're doing great in our garage contractual line as far as what we have left over for the year. That would make that whole. We're also over budget in the cemeteries. And I'm going to be taking a look at some of the allocations of the mowing, okay, by $175 right now in the cemetery. We had some left in workers' compensation. I'm just making that suggestion that we take it from the workers' compensation line, $175, move it over into the cemetery line. We'll tear that cemetery line back apart and see if we truly are $175 over. We need to tear that apart and see if we're allocating things right with the number of mowings that are happening. And the other one is in the town hall postage. Mariah, we have this account number that's not your account number. I think before we used your account number for the postage for mailing out all of the tax bills. I wanted to see where we would be because this year, or for 2024, we set up a line item, A1345.41, that covered town hall postage. So I was putting all the postage in there, and perhaps some of that does need to come out and maybe fall under the town clerk's line for mailing out all those tax bills, but I wanted to see how close we'd come, and I found out how close we'd come. we're $332 over that amount. So I'm just suggesting we have a purchasing line item where we do purchasing for the town hall. Like if we want some paper, or if we're gonna do some ink for the copy machine, or for the other fax or whatever, of $1,000. So to move some money from that purchasing line, $332, in to cover the town hall postage. And those are the three items: unallocated insurance, the cemetery, and the town hall postage were the three that we needed to cover.
Where would the money gonna come from for the mowing?
Workers' comp.
The mowing, workers' comp.
Oh, okay.
We have like $1,200 left over in that workers' comp line. We budgeted well, and it came in the bill came in $1,200 lower.
You okay with doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, we can wait till next time if you want to do that, but just to get it into the minutes that we are looking at this, that you are looking at this, and you are looking at these line items for that. And this takes us all the way up to this abstract that you approved tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Good,
Do
then
you-
we should,
do you know how
we
much-
should wait to vote until next meeting till we have the hard copies.
You want to
of
look
it.
at it,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
I kind of prefer that myself.
Yes.
Laura, can you provide me with information about how much we've spent so far on postage? The taxes alone are gonna be about $400, I believe, in postage.
I saw an amount of about of purchasing postage, but that could have been at the beginning of the year too, for a bill for about $800 in there for that. But that postage, which is 1345.41.
$1,500 is the current budget.
$100 budget, and that amount is $1,832 spent so far.
Currently?
But currently, but that, remember, I put in all of your postage in there that came out of your line item too, for.
Well, is that the planner's postage and the code officer's postage?
Yeah, the town hall postage, like is when you purchase postage there, if the planner has something to send out, the clerk, it doesn't include the court. The court has all of their own
Because,
figures
okay,
themselves.
because we separate, the planner and the code officer have different accounts in stamps.com, so we
Right,
can
we-
separate that out.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
but if
Well,
it's
we
all
did
together,
that. We used to do it that way. And Janice had proposed, and we were trying this method out, that we make it more of a centralized one postage account number for all the postage. And that's what the board kind of had decided to do, is to put that in here. I'm all for separating it out if everybody wants to do that.
That makes more sense.
Each individual, the way we had it before, which was in each individual line item, whether it went to, because we could tell how much postage was going through the planning office, how much through code enforcement, how much through the town clerk's office. But this was something that was changed and to try out, and that's what we had on here. Actually, that's been on there for a couple of years. And so, but if you've got a good way to separate it out, which I know that there was, we could have done that all along, but instead of lumping it, I think that we should separate it back out if that's possible.
It's a little more granular. I don't know that you gain a whole lot. It's not like you're gonna not spend it on postage.
Then it's, it gives you a better idea of the cost
Where
of
it's
each
coming from.
account, rather than putting in one, I have no idea how much is going to
It's
everybody.
like maybe the planner has something going on in a year where
Clearer
they
to
send out
everybody
surveys,
else.
where they might send out surveys, or they have a special project where they're using postage, to find out, some different information throughout the town. That's where it lets us to be able to see and to budget well in those individual line items.
so
We'll look at that when we budget this
so
year. Maybe we'll change it back.
So half the year has gone by and we've spent $1,800, and December is when I anticipate December alone, I'm gonna spend $500 in postage. So I think maybe boosting that by another $1,000 might be good.
But you also have in your town clerk contractual, you've got $2,800 remaining. which may have been for part of that. You have 2,800 remaining, and I took any of the postage spent out of the town clerk's office and put it in this special stamp thing. So right
Oh,
now,
okay.
you have that in there in your line item too.
Well, you
that
told me I had $4,300 left.
Well, remember I said we were looking at that we had that, but I needed to put some of that credit card information in there.
Okay,
Now, this is up to the true
So-
amount.
It's what?
so,
It's up to the amount that was in
so
your
now it's 2,800?
$2,804. I'll give you your details. So you got it.
And is that,
Oh, actually, you
okay,
got a little
that-
more too, because there was something that was a $350, excuse me, there was a $350 storage things that were bought for
the historian?
historian that we need to take out of your line item too. So you're in the 3,000 mark that you have left in your line item, about 3,200 or so.
Okay, but that doesn't include, that's just supplies, it doesn't include postage.
Right.
Okay, so that
Not
sounds
included
good,
meeting.
but
I'll
it
give you
looks
the
like
whole detail,
postage.
everything you spent or whatever. and
Okay, I'm just saying, the
Separate line.
postage in December is gonna be intense.
Mhm.
This is a discussion that
Always-
need
it
not
always
happen
is.
at this meeting.
You know,
Very good.
We have to get some
It'll
clarity
workshop
between now and next time. It'd be nice to get some clarity on all that, but we're not gonna vote on it tonight
So
anyway.
we need to do the highway funds.
Right.
Okay, the highway, we didn't have any budget transfers at all.
No, no,
No,
no,
no, no.
we're not talking about transfer. You're
We're
talking about the
Agreement to spend funds.
spending money.
Oh, there you go. Okay, sorry. I thought we already did that, but no,
No, we didn't.
Nope.
It still remains
Okay.
to be done.
you just talked about it.
So we will do more of the budget review and adjustment next time, since we didn't have it much to study ahead of time. And I move that we go along with the proposal from the highway superintendent to spend additional funds in the amount of, what was it?
Not to exceed 179,000.
Yeah, for the West Jersey Hill, adding West Jersey Hill to the agreement to spend funds.
Second,
Can I get a copy of this?
Yeah, yeah, sure. We've got multiple copies here. It needs to be signed by everybody and then,
Where'd it go?
oh, I got a copy
he's
here.
got one copy.
Never.
This one has things on newspaper and like yours. Anyway, moved and seconded. Any discussion about that? Hearing none. Mariah, would you conduct a vote, please?
Thanks.
Yes, who seconded that?
Me?
Kathy?
Thank you.
Okay.
Counters,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yep.
Hunter,
Yeah,
Woodworth,
Yes.
Gagnon.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
now all we have to do is get Marnie to thank you.
Yeah,
Good luck on that one.
yeah, I know that story already.
There'll be a lot more traffic once the road's fixed. All right, I think we have our list of things for next time.
Yep, I just want to confirm when the next meeting is because it's the legal holiday.
Right, we voted.
Second, we voted to second Tuesday,
Still on the calendar.
second Monday,
Perfect.
second and fourth Monday.
Yeah, so it's the 9th.
I'll change it.
Hasn't been changed.
Whatever it is.
We voted.
I will
it.
change it.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, and with that, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
So the ninth,
The ninth of September.
23rd.
Okay, so let's see.
I need-
Go home now. You want me to sign it for you?
I can do it if I need a book.